Hello Toy Collector fans, Universal Toy Collector here and welcome to the channel. And welcome to another episode of My Collecting Life, the series where I get to speak to you, members of the toy collecting community, about your own personal collections and find out what got you started collecting in the first place and what gives you that toy collecting buzz. Okay, so before I invite this episode's guest on, let's have a look at some of his collection in a musical montage. Well, once again, another fantastic collection. And from the photos, some of you may or may not know him, and some of you may or may not recognize him. My next guest, I'm delighted to welcome to the channel, Dave C. from Straight from the Pit. How you doing, my friend? Good to see you.
Hi, pretty good.
Good stuff, good stuff. I noticed your dog got camera shy and decided to shoot when we went live.
Yeah, that's Summer. She, I guess she is a bit camera shy. I didn't know until now, though. So,
bless her, bless her. Right, so you've probably seen one or two of these before. I'm going to be asking you 10 questions about your collection. So you take your time over, and run time's about an hour, and it's all about you, Dave. So I'm going to start with the first question. What are your childhood memories growing up, and what toy lines were you into?
well, I've got a lot of childhood memories. That's part of the reason why I think I love 1980s G.I. Joe so much. But so I guess I'll answer the question about what lines, because that's the easiest. In Christmas '82, it pretty much started with He-Man stuff and G.I. Joe, and then there was Transformers in like 1984 to 85, and that kind of tailed off a bit. So pretty much for me, it was really only I guess everyone calls them the big three. Like I've heard that before on your show. So
Yeah.
you're gonna have to go with that answer.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, and then
Awesome.
the memories are just like I've got so many memories, and anyone who's watched my channel knows that I kind of take pride in having kind of a photographic memory that way. So when I hold an old figure in my hand or an old vehicle, I can kind of remember where I was when I got it, how old I was, where maybe what mall I got it from, or what store, or anything like that. So I actually get a real happy feeling about relaying that information. So yeah, I guess we could start with Christmas 1982. I was 7 years old, and for that Christmas, I wanted the Scarlet, Snake Eyes, and Stalker 3-pack, and it wasn't a 3-pack sold that way, but in the catalog for Sears that year, they had a little section, and you could kind of choose different areas on it. And in the one section, it had those three figures, and I thought they were the most interesting because they weren't just all olive drab like all the other guys. Like all the other guys were kind of like just the one color and kind of
Yeah.
regular soldiers. Yeah. So when I saw those, I really liked them, and yeah. So I asked my dad if I could get those for Christmas, and there was also a Ram motorcycle there, the 1982 Ram motorcycle, and my dad was a motorcyclist, so I kind of looked up to him that way, like a lot of other kids looked up to their dad. And when I saw that, I wanted that too. So he was kind of excited about getting that one for me. So, but of course, I asked Santa to get them. Of course, it wasn't him. I
Yeah.
asked Santa Claus.
Yeah.
So yeah, so I ended up getting those, and right from the start that year, just on opening the gifts and just seeing the detail, like all the little components on the bike and in the engine, and the way the Gatling gun was hooked on there in the sidecar, and just the way Snake Eyes was. Like first, I thought he was a bad guy because I had no idea he was all
Yeah.
black. So and his name was Snake Eyes, and Cobra was
Yeah.
supposed to be these bad guys, right? So I just assumed Snake Eyes was the bad guy. And then, of course, I like Scarlet because she was a chick, and there wasn't a lot of girls in action figure stuff back then. It was mostly just males
Yeah.
and that and then Stalker, he became my instant favorite just because of his camouflage. Because as a kid there, I was always interested in weapons and kind of the like military stuff, and at a very young age. So because I'd watch shows like the A Team and stuff like that on TV, and I just really enjoyed military stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, so that was the first year, and it was really fun, and kind of got me interested in it, and set me up for years and years and years of pretty much every Christmas after that until I was 15. I would get something GI Joe. I have a whole list here. I can go on and on
Wow.
if you want me to. It's like it's
Wow.
just
So
like yeah.
I'm taking it from what you're saying then that you say the big three. I'm assuming that the focal point of your collection would have been GI Joe then.
Yeah, it definitely 95% of the stuff I got as a kid was GI Joe, and kind of in '84 there when Transformers came out and it was from the same line. I saw
Yeah.
Megatron, and of course the cartoon was on too. So I saw Megatron. I really liked him because he was a Walther P-38, and I had the Weapons and Warfare encyclopedia books.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would study those books as a kid, and I knew all the guns and everything from that
Wow.
time. So when that came out, I was like, "What? It's a gun and it transforms into this robot or whatever." So I had to have it. And then of
Yeah.
course I got Optimus Prime, and I think the last one I got was Sunstreaker. His name is. He's some yellow guy. I'm sure
That's
there's
it.
some.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. But yeah,
Yeah. I remember
I mean, I
Sunstreaker. Yeah.
I wanted to focus more on GI Joe stuff because I had such a list. Like I really wanted, like I said, every year after that, it it was just more and more stuff. Like in '83, I got the command center for Christmas. And I
Yeah.
got the helicopter. I think it was a Dragon. Was it Dragonfly? Yeah,
Oh, the
Dragonfly.
Dragonfly. Yeah.
Yeah,
That came with Wild Bill.
that's right. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then of course I got the comics. So like around the same time before the cartoon came out. So I read all the books the first year there before there was even a Sunbow cartoon. So um, I really enjoyed those because they went along with more of the military approach as well, where all the stuff in the books it was written a little more serious than the cartoon was later.
Yeah.
So I kind of enjoyed that detail that all that stuff was military accurate. But anyway, getting off topic, I always kind of go off a
No,
bit.
no, 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 fine. No, no. It's like I say, this is about you, mate. I find this really interesting. Because in the UK, we had the 5 POA figures like the Action Force, Z Force, and SAS Force, and Q Force, and we had the Red Shadows with the bad guys. And it wasn't until I think GI Joe, it came over here, but we still called it Action Force. So we had like Gung Ho, Duke, Scarlet, Snake Eyes, all the ones that came out. I think because your first lot was Grunt and not Grunt. Was it Grunt?
Yeah, Grunt was one
You
of
had
them.
Rock, yeah, Grunt, Rock and Roll, Zap, all those guys.
Yeah.
We didn't have that wave over here. We still had the 5 POA figures, and then we got the O-ring figures come over, but they were on the Action Force card still, so we still called it Action Force. And I think it was when that was up until Palatoy like disbanded and went bust or whatever happened. Then it changed to GI Joe. So yeah, but I mean, as a kid, I love playing with it. I mean, predominantly, I'm a Star Wars kind of guy, but my friend had like Star Wars and GI Joe, so we'd often swap it about and stuff like that. But yeah, definitely, GI Joe is great. Just a question. I know you're a big O-ring fan, obviously, because I've seen your photograph and you've said. What do you make of the classified 6-inch scale?
Well, when they first came out, I thought they looked like Fortnite figures, and
Yeah,
I don't really like that type of look. But I'm a huge GI Joe fan, obviously, so I had to give them a chance. And so where they are now, I figure is a good spot because I bought the Cobra Infantry. I bought like 7 of those guys because they look a lot like the old '82 Cobra Soldier and Cobra Officer.
yeah,
So I like those. I bought those, and then what else did I get? I got the Snake Eyes and the Timber. So because he looks like the '82 Commando, and Timber is
that's
Timber.
it.
Everybody,
Yeah.
yeah, everybody loves Timber. So, and then the other day, my wife actually bought me 2 Alley Vipers and a Cobra
Okay.
Officer. Yeah. So it's not that I don't like them altogether. It's just kind of that I'm kind of more picky about which ones I might add to the collection because some of the other ones, like I said at the beginning there, I think they just kind of changed it, and you didn't really know if it was maybe something you'd like or not.
Yeah. Well, because when they first come out, they look nothing like what they did in the 80s. I think everybody's expecting them to look like they did in the 80s. You had the Roadblock with I mean, he didn't look great. Then you had Scarlet. She didn't look great. You had the the special edition deluxe set of Snake Eyes, which I have to say is pretty decent. I've still got mine boxed. But yeah, there was a lot of I think a lot of negativity around those classifieds, wasn't there, when they first came out? But if you look at the figures now, like they've got Dusty coming out, then you've got Stalker coming out, you've got the Tiger Force guys. They're looking more like they did in the 80s. I mean, are these figures that are ones that sort of like appeal to you, or do you just go for the Cobra?
Well, I think I just went with the Cobra guys because they did look to me most like the old ones. So, and
Yeah,
I always had this fantasy about building this giant Cobra army, whether it was 3/4 inch or 6 inch or whatever. Just because I always thought they were so cool. Like they it sounds bad, but they kind of remind me of all the bad guys in the old days, like in World
yeah,
War II and different wars like that. Like they just the way their helmets are and their uniforms, like they're very even though they're the bad guys, they're also very organized and they just have that look about them that is
yeah.
just appealing to me. But yeah,
No,
then
no, I
I did like some of the Joes. Like I actually got a Lady J, and then
Okay.
I ended up selling it because it just didn't look right on my shelf. You know how you get a guy
Yeah.
like I know you have all your Star Wars guys. I'm sure every now and then you'll buy one that comes out and you'll have it and you'll be like, I don't know, man, it doesn't really fit there for me. Like it just for
Yeah.
whatever reason you don't appreciate it. So,
Yeah.
but
Did you get the 6-inch breaker with the RAM? Because I know you said you like bikes. So did you get that or?
no, that one's eluded me. I've been trying to get it, and then the price went up. So it's kind of one of those ones where I'll probably get it one day if it shows up. But I'm not going to go out of my way to search for it. But yeah, it's
Okay.
cool. Like that one I think is a good one for sure.
Yeah. Because they got the Tiger Force one coming out soon as well, haven't they, with Duke?
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's pretty
yeah.
cool.
So when did you realise then that you were a collector? Did you know quite early on, or did you sort of like stop collecting for a while and then go back to it, or did you know from an early age that you were going to be this? Okay, there's potential in this. I'm gonna collect this and keep this.
I would say at a very young age, like you just mentioned, I would say as early as that first Christmas, probably 82 there when I opened them up
Wow.
and I looked at them and I realized that there was 13, 14 other guys that I could get. And I remember looking at the back of the cards, at the card back, and Hasbro back then was so good at advertising all that stuff. Well, they got the
Yeah.
idea from Star Wars, right? Like collect them all. So they
Yeah.
took that and they took it to the next level, in my opinion, for making people addicted to this crap. So so yeah, because the card art was amazing, right? So like
Oh
like
hell yeah.
yeah, so you look at it, well, just like everybody else, and I would cross out who I had, and then I put a check mark for like who I wanted. So I think as early as 7 years old, I was already doing that. Like I was already a
Wow.
collector, even though I was a kid playing with them.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, that is awesome. That is awesome. The people that I've spoken to on here, back then it was a great time because you had no internet, you had no social media. So it's like I was saying in the last chat or the one before, when to find out what was coming out, you used to go to like a comic shop and look in the magazines. At the back of the magazine, they had like a collector's magazine and it had all the different action figures coming out. And you used to look at the back of that to see what Star Wars figures or whatever it was that was been released the following month. Those card backs back in the day, whether it be Star Wars or GI Joe, you'd open the vehicles and you have the little leaflets inside the GI Joe vehicles, wouldn't you? Then you'd have all the different vehicles and stuff like that, and you go, yeah, just fantastic. It really was great, and I wish they would carry on doing that these days for sure.
Yeah, like seriously, how hard would it be to include in a new classifieds just a little leaflet that has all the guys you can get and show like maybe some art, even art that comes on each box. One of the problems I
Yeah,
think now with that stuff is that they say it's a good thing, but whatever. I disagree. Where they have all different artists doing all the different characters. Well, then there's no unity. There's no I don't know what word I'm looking for. There's no uniform.
continuity. Yeah,
Yeah, exactly. So
yeah,
then you don't really get that same feel. Like it's like for example, the new Zarana. I think it looks really childish, and for an adult collector looking at that, it's kind of like I don't know what this is supposed to be. Like it's right on the front of the packaging too. And I know a lot of
yeah,
guys on Instagram have already talked about that. Like they don't even want to get this figure because of the art. Never mind the figure. The figure could be awesome, but when they get the
yeah.
figure and they put it up on their shelf and it looks like like that, maybe they don't want it, right? So
Is part of the appeal for you then with collecting the artwork and the packaging? Is that important to you?
oh, definitely, because I remember walking down the aisles there in Toys R Us and Sears, and sometimes we go to Buffalo in the States. It'd be like J.C. Penney and places like that, and it would just be massive amounts of that stuff around. And what attracted me to it, kind of like what I said before, was the military aspect and how real it looked. So
Yeah,
the detail in the art was just as important for me as the detail in the plastic. So yeah, when I see that stuff, I kind of like say like I get a vehicle, I'd really like to have that box with it, like the original box,
yeah,
because then you can see how it was sold and how it grabbed me back then when I was a little kid and even into early teens. And yeah, I like to experience that again. So yeah.
So you must be delighted then that Hasbro are re-releasing the O-ring figures in the retro style with the retro style cards.
Yeah, definitely. I got the 2-pack Cobra, the officer and the infantry, and
Mm.
I didn't get the Snake Eyes and Storm Shadow. I just missed out on that one, but I'm looking at them now, so I'll probably get that one. And then my wife pre-ordered the Duke and the Commander.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I pre-ordered the Stinger, the Cobra Stinger, which is a totally awesome
Yeah.
vehicle that everybody
Yeah.
likes from back then. So I do like them, and I think the artwork does justice to it too. Like the art on the packaging on the outside box is a newer art, but it
Yeah.
also looks like the old, Hector Greedo 1982-83 art. So
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I mean, I think Hasbro have nailed this with the GI Joe retro collection. They've absolutely smashed it out the park. I've got a couple of figures sitting here now. I'm just looking at them, and the cards just look absolutely fantastic. They really do, and it is such a throwback to the 1980s, and that I really do like that, those card backs. My only thing is, I wish Hasbro would have done the same thing with the Star Wars retro, but there you go. That's a different conversation. So you practically answered the next question is, what is it about GI Joe that you love so much? But you've already mentioned that it's the military aspect of it and stuff like that. Is it just that drew you to it, or was there other things as well?
well, a lot of times when I go down to the pit there and I sit in there and I look around, I remember back to being a young man, and there's actually a lot behind it. And I think another aspect of it is just the fact that the whole idea of GI Joe was duty, honor, and courage. And as a young man, I really appreciated that. And I think that um, when you're growing up, you kind of need heroes to look up to, and other than
Mm,
your mom and your dad and different things that are on TV and stuff that can influence you. But I think I was really influenced the fact that that flag in '83 for the GI Joe Command Center, the silver base, it actually says duty, honor, and courage. And it was a big reason why when I was a young man, I kind of wanted to become a police officer, and just wanted to get into military stuff because I thought that in order to protect people in society, you also have to have some strict guidelines, and I thought that it's cool. Like that aspect of it was cool. So to me, it just stands for a lot more than just a toy that way. And
yeah.
and also Larry Hama, when I was a young person too, reading his books, I think it taught me a lot about um, maybe how to act as a person. Like in his books, there's a lot of blue collar type behaviors in them, and a lot of humor directed at maybe people who aren't quite blue collar, like people who might try to sucker you around, and some
Yeah.
con men and stuff like that. And he'd always point fun on that, and point fun at that in the comic books and his file cards that he wrote. So I think for me that kind of put me in a good direction because my dad was a blue collar guy, so I looked up to my dad, and here we were, the comic book and the toy was telling me the same thing. So it kind of raised me maybe to be the person I am. So when I go down in the pit and I sit there and I look at all this stuff, it's not just a bunch of plastic crap. It's actually something that's very important to me, and it actually is a part of me, and
Yeah.
a part of who I am now as an adult. So I really enjoy that aspect of it.
Awesome. This is so fan. This is really fascinating. I'm loving this. This is great. Um. So with all the so with GI Joe, I guess you're into the Sunbow or the cartoons that were on. Is it Sunbow that did?
Yeah,
Was it
Sunbow. Yep.
Sunbow? Yeah, Sunbow. Yeah, and then you had the comics. So I'm guessing you're into those as a kid as
Yeah,
well.
like
Yeah.
from I got GI Joe #2. I think was the first book I had. That's the Snow Arctic one with Quinn and Snake Eyes and Scarlet and Breaker and I think a couple others. They go up to the North Pole there. But anyway, yeah. So I had all those books from #2 until the cartoon came out, and the cartoon came out in '83 in September, and they planned that on purpose so that they could get kids coming home from school, and it would be like an after school special, because back then, you probably remember, there were after school specials, and we'd come home from school, and there'd be like these either cartoons or made for children shows, or young teens.
Mm.
So anyway, the one day I came home from school after I had already read and collected GI Joe for about a year, and there's this cartoon on it. It was GI Joe, and I was like, what the hell? Like, I didn't say what the hell, but whatever I said when I was
Yeah.
8 or whatever.
That age, yeah.
And I loved it because it was GI Joe and it had a lot of the same stuff. But then at the same time, I was like, one thing I noticed was, who is this Duke guy? Because there was no Duke in the comics I read. There was a Hawk, and he was blonde,
Yeah.
and he was the leader of the Joes. So, and also Snake Eyes and Scarlet were together in the books. But then on this cartoon that I was watching that just came out, there was this blonde Duke guy who I never heard of was hitting on Scarlet, and I was like, that's not right. Like that can't be right. So then, like, I liked it. It was a 5-parter, of course, The Mass Device, which had an excellent story, and in my opinion was probably the best movie that they did, like a 5-part movie. And yeah, I did enjoy it, and I thought the humor was good. The way they had the military in it, mixed in with the modern equipment, it showed that the designers of GI Joe were allowed to go and look at the GI Joe stuff, or the United States military stuff, before they designed the first toys. So in this cartoon, they were showing that too. And of course, Cobra amplified that because they had these crazy weapons, and that kind of added to the specialness of GI Joe. And then to have it on the Saturday mornings, and then later on, of course, in '84 when the other movie came out with Zartan and everybody, and then '85, and then the Flag came out and it was on the show. And in my opinion, the best years of Sunbow are probably '85, because they had the whole run there, and a lot of the shows actually had morals and values shown in them. And as a young kid, you could learn that too, and that was a big part of growing up. So, but at the same time, though, I do got to say that because I was looking at those weapons and warfare books, and I had the comics, which were a little more serious, and people were dying in the comic, and in the cartoon, people would get shot and they just bounce back up, or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe they wouldn't even get shot. It was just Cobra would miss everybody, and everybody was okay. But I understand it was for kids, so that's cool. But I did enjoy the comic more, obviously. But I also did like the Sunbow, and I enjoyed the humor and the moral ethics that were taught in the Sunbow.
Yeah. No, we had that again. It was Action Force and Full Force before it turned to GI Joe. But we never had it in the evenings. It was it was a Saturday morning, so we had to wait until Saturday mornings, and then we had about 3 or 4 episodes on the trot, and then we had to wait a whole week before we could see it again. Just moving on slightly, you must have been absolutely delighted when they announced that they were going to do a GI Joe film, The Rise of Cobra, because I know I was really excited for it, because you've had your GI Joe Retaliation, and what was the other one they did? It was quite like the A-Team, GI Joe Renegades.
Yeah. Right. That cartoon. That cartoon series. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that show.
But then they did the films, and then they did the Rise of Cobra, which I just thought, oh, why can't they just get it right like they had it in the 80s? Do you know why have they got to change things?
All they had to do was take Larry Hama's book, like even some of the first books, and look at them and try to do the story like that. They could have taken Snake Eyes' story with he's such a great character, of course, with the tragedy and the romance, and with Scarlet and all that stuff. All they had to do was take that and capture that into a film, and it could have been like a Marvel film. It could have been as popular and famous as an Avengers film. Like, honestly, if it was done right, because the writing is so good from Mr. Hama. But unfortunately, I think that because Paramount had the rights, I think they grabbed it, and then they didn't know what they wanted this thing to be. So they kind of bounced back and forth between it being like a kid's movie and an adult movie that you and I would like to go and see, like an Avengers type film. and they didn't get the bad guys right, and they changed Baroness' story, which is stupid because her backstory is amazing if anyone knows the real
Yeah,
comic backstory. And then to change Commander's backstory, and then to change Snake Eyes' backstory, and it was just really, it was silly, and like you said, it was disappointing. I don't
yeah,
know
it
if you
was.
said
I
that or
mean,
not, but I did.
yeah, no, I didn't say it was disappointing, but I'm agreeing with you. It was, and then they tried to they did what's it, GI Joe Retaliation, which I thought okay, they've moved on from that nano um nanomite wars or whatever they were called, and then you had Roadblockers, not Roadblock, what's his name,
The
The
Rock,
Rock
yeah,
or Dwayne
yeah,
Johnson as Roadblock. They killed Duke off, which I was surprised. Then you had Lady J and then Flint. Cobra Commander looked pretty decent with his gear on and stuff like that. But to me, it still didn't capture the essence of GI Joe from the 80s for sure, and or the comics in that for that matter.
no, it did. You're right. Yeah, it was hard to watch again. Like I went to the theater with that one with my son, and
Yeah,
we were cautiously optimistic, we'll say, because it was one of those ones where they kind of screwed the first one up with Rise of Cobra. So we were
yeah,
kind of like, well, what are they going to do now, right? So, but Bruce Willis was in it too. So I mean, I was like, wait a minute, they got Bruce Willis in this thing, and they got The Rock, so it can't be that
yeah.
bad. So that one, I think I gave it a 5 out of 10, whereas Rise of Cobra I gave like
Okay.
a 1 out of 10.
Yeah, that was pretty awful. That was pretty awful. And then they come out with the Snake Eyes Origins movie, which again I was excited for because I thought, okay, they're going to go back, they're going to do it properly, and yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I did a review on
yeah,
that one last July. I did a review video. If anybody wants to check that one out, I think I gave it a
yeah,
six and
sure.
a half. But that's because I just saw it. So probably now it's more like a 6,
No,
maybe out of 10.
yeah,
But I mean, it
yeah,
it, it wasn't good. And
no,
again, like you just said, they changed the backstory of the most important character in GI Joe. So when you do that,
yeah,
like I always make a reference to the fact that okay, let's say they took Iron Man, and then they made it where his dad wasn't rich, and he wasn't an inventor. And what if they did that? Would people like the first Iron Man? Would they like it
no,
honestly if
no.
they took all the stuff and changed it and said this is your Iron Man now? People would no. You're right. They'd be like no. I don't
This is
think they
what I
would,
like
right?
about
So
Marvel. They kept pretty true to the comics. I mean, I know they've had to change things a bit as the years have progressed, but the foundation of it was pretty solid from the start. I think with the Marvel movies. Moving on, what is your most prized possession in your collection? Is there one piece that you like, not value in money wise, but you value it above all else?
that's a hard one, as you know, because all the stuff you have as well. You're kind of like, how can I pick just one, right? But
Yeah.
I'd have to say, um, it probably would be the USS Flag.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, and then another one, if I'm allowed to have another one, would be it's a mint on card Cobra Soldier I have from 1982.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I think those are the two. I know I'm only supposed to pick one, but
No, but that's fine. That's fine. Have you got many of your figures left from your childhood? Do you have many of those, or did you move them on, or did you keep them?
no, unfortunately, I thought that other things would be more important in life, like we all did when we were in our 20s, and I gave
Yeah.
them all away to
Oh my goodness.
some kids.
Yeah.
And then, yep. So no, I don't. I had
Yeah.
to rebuy everything. So
Yeah. That answer there is pretty much the same answer as most of the people that I've had chats with on this series have said. They gave their stuff away, or they moved it on and stuff like that. I think one person or a couple of people have just kept a couple of bits from their childhood, which I think is fantastic. I really do. I think that's great. Um, is there a Grail piece that you really want? Is there like a one piece that you would want above any before you get anything else?
um, well, a couple of years ago, if you asked me that question, there would have been quite a few things. Like there would have been the '87 Defiant and maybe another Terradrome. But I've recently been able to do that to get those items. So That's kind of a hard one for me to answer. Maybe it would be the cardboard 1982 Cobra base that came with the Mickey Mouse Cobra Commander. That
Okay.
might be one. Yeah,
Wow, I didn't realize they did that.
yeah. It was some kind of rare edition. I don't know if it was a Sears exclusive. I think it might have been a Sears exclusive, but it came with a Cobra Commander and two Cobra guys, like the Cobra Officer and the Cobra Soldier. And it was a pretty cheaply made Cobra base with a missile silo that went up.
Oh, okay.
And all it's held together are these little cardboard tabs. And it looks ridiculous. Like if you have it and you set it up. And
Yeah.
and they go for like $1,000 now or something. So it's just
Oh
something.
my, wow.
It's kind of crazy,
Yeah.
right? So I don't know if I'll ever own it. But I did see San Diego Comic-Con, I think 3 years ago, or 2017, I think it was. They re-released it, and it's
Okay.
about $300 now. But it looks identical. So
And
maybe I'll
you
just
saying that's that might have been a store exclusive.
yeah. Back then, I think in '82 it was either Sears or J.C. Penney, or somebody can Google that after, but I'm pretty sure it
Yeah.
was.
Because I mean, over in Canada and the States, they do a lot of store exclusives, don't they? Every year, I think they've done a. We don't get that in the UK. I'm not that I'm aware of. I don't think we've had any store exclusives over here. I mean, our supermarkets, they certainly don't get involved as much as what your like Targets and Walmarts do with their exclusives. We don't get any of that like over here with our retailers and stuff like that. So that's a bit because the exclusives, it's like if we didn't have the internet or anything like that, I wouldn't know about your exclusives unless I'd been over to America and visited and stuff like that and found out that way. But other than that, it's a bit of a pain in the ass.
Yeah. Well, we got sometimes at Sears, like you'd walk in there as a kid. Like I just did a video the other day on the Crimson Attack tank and the Cobra Sentry MMS, which is a HISS tank, but it's red. But anyway, yeah. So you'd walk in there and then you'd be like what's that? Because you like you just said, it wouldn't be on the TV commercials and it wouldn't be in the pamphlets. So yeah, so you'd see that stuff and yeah. So but a lot of stuff I didn't want to get because it was just repaints, in my opinion, like back then.
Yeah.
But now I love them. Like to get them because they're rare, it just looks really cool. Especially that Cobra tank, it's just black and it just really sets it off. There's also another. I guess I skipped one thing was a Grail that I would like to get. It's a Canadian only Mobat tank, and it's just all black, and it came with Cobra Commander, and it was it was available at Consumers Distributing, which was a catalog store where you'd go in there and you'd file out a card and then you hand it in, and they'd bring it out to you. I don't know if you guys had a store like that there.
No.
Yeah. So, but anyway, it's hard to get, so that would be another one. But that was an exclusive to that store that Consumers Distributing.
I found it interesting that you said that the exclusives back then were mainly repaints and reissues of stuff. Nothing's changed, Dave. They're still the same. You know, you get your reissue parts and stuff like that for a store exclusive, or you get your repaints for store exclusive. But right now, I've got 3 photos, Dave, and I want you to explain to me what is going on here. So the first one is this one. Now, I'm guessing you're into ice hockey.
Yeah, that's me and my son Shane on our pond in our backyard. And
wow.
Yeah. I played hockey.
How big's your backyard? That is huge.
It is about 8 acres or so.
Jesus Christ. Wow.
Yeah, we're up in the country. We have some land there. My dad lived in the city for a long time, and then he built a house and up in the country there. So as a kid growing up, we had a pond. That pond is actually dug out so we could build the house up. And so the pond is 100 feet by 100 feet. So it's a pretty big surface. So so every year it would freeze, and me and my brother would play hockey on it, and all my friends would come up and skate around and then and then Shane, of course, he started playing. So he started playing down in the league, and I played in leagues too after I was on the pond. That's where I learned how to skate. But then I went
Wow.
down and played in my my town and played on that team and played at a pretty good
Yeah.
competitive level for a few years.
Awesome. So ice hockey was your sport then?
Oh yeah, I would
Yeah.
particularly I like it when it gets rough. I lost a tooth. I don't know if you can see, but I lost a tooth one time from taking a sucker punch out there on the ice.
Wow.
So
Wow.
yeah,
Yeah. I've it's one sport that I've never understood. We've got a town where I live. We've got a team called Guildford Flames, and they're like an ice hockey team. And I went down to see them once. I didn't have a clue. And then we went to Florida in 2018, and then we went to Tampa, and because the guys that we went with, they really wanted to go and watch an ice hockey game, so they went and saw that. And the experience itself, being in that stadium, was absolutely fantastic. Didn't have a bloody clue what was going on. Didn't have a clue. Sorry, but there you are.
yeah.
But right, this next photo, what is all this? What's this about, Dave?
Well, that photo is a letter that we wrote into Larry Hama at Postbox the Pit, which is it used to be Marvel's section at the end of comic books, but then when Larry started 155.5 back in 2010, he came back with Postbox the Pit in the IDW run. So we were finally able to get published in his book. When I was a young man, I never got published. I wrote a few times, but he didn't put me in there.
Yeah.
So anyway, so me and Shane were able to get in there, and we got in there a couple times. But I particularly like this because the picture at the bottom is us in our pit, and Shane's holding a Havoc, and of course he's in front of the flag. So just a nice. And then he wrote back to us, which was nice. So that was pretty cool.
Wow. Oh, that's pretty cool. Awesome stuff. And the last one. I know you said you like bikes. Where's this?
That's in Dusseldorf, Germany.
Oh wow! Okay.
Yeah, and that's my father, my father-in-law's friend's bike, and his dad was in the Africa Corps, and so what he did was he restored this motorcycle to what it would look like, minus the emblem, of course, under the palm tree, because they're not allowed to have that in Germany anymore.
Okay.
For obvious reasons, but he took me for a boot on it, and it was pretty cool. It was when I first went over there, and I thought it was he treated it like a test to see if I had any balls, because he took me on these mud roads and he bounced the shit out of me in this thing. And
that's not you. That's not you, is it? Is that you in there?
Yeah, that's me. Yeah.
Is that you?
Yeah. Yeah, that's me back then. So I think that's 2002 or so.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Wow. I thought that might have been your son or something. I didn't realize that. Jesus, crikey.
Yeah, it was about 20 years ago, so I looked a little bit younger, I guess.
Do you ride a motorbike yourself?
No, I used to ride motocross bikes when I was a kid. But when my dad sold his, I never really got into them again. So, but I know I can. Like I know how to with the clutch and everything and the gears. And at work, I use heavy equipment, so I can do it. But yeah,
I know you've got a nice car.
Yeah, I got that a few years ago. I really like the old ones, but I couldn't afford to buy an old Charger, like a '69. That's the one I would like to get. So I found that one at a really good price, and it has a lot of horsepower, and it looks like a 1970s car. So I had to get that one.
Yeah, of course you had to get it. Yeah. Of course you had to get it. But yeah, I like that. That looked pretty awesome, I gotta say. Okay, right. Where are we? What made you do a YouTube channel, and who were your influencers for doing so?
I didn't really have any other YouTube influences because I wasn't really into social media that much. Like I did know of Forum BX257, which is a guy who's been in the GI Joe community since I think like maybe 2008 or something. And then I did know about HCC 788, but I didn't really like. I mean, I knew some other ones too. Obviously, like I talked to you on another guy's Patreon for a while there, I believe, but
Yeah.
you were on that one. Everybody split. A lot of people split from that one, and whoever didn't. That's fine too. That's great. But yeah, like I think it was more just that I could find an escape, so I could get away from work stuff and just fill my mind with positive energy instead of thinking about work and the problems that are going on there with stresses, and I could just go down to my room and I could actually have a purpose for all the stuff other than just I don't know, than just looking at it or something, right? So
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you've got a great you've got a great collection, and yeah, you know, appreciate you sending the photos in to share with us and stuff like that. To army build how you army build with the amount of figures you got is just absolutely fantastic. It really is. So how, I mean, with your videos, how many videos do you sort of put out a week? Do you go to a timetable? Do you do it like a schedule sort of thing, or do you just think, well, today I don't fancy doing it, I might do one tomorrow? Or is it, do you have like a regimented schedule that you want to put videos out, and how many a week?
well, that's a cool question because sometimes I wonder about that because I don't really know what the next video is going to be. I kind of go with the flow, and I'll just sit down there and I'll look at something and go, well, that makes me happy, and then I'll just take it and get all the stuff together and I'll do it. So I don't think I plan anything at all really. My wife will tell you that's not what I do ever really. I'm just kind of I just do whatever. So that's kind of my personality. And another interesting thing about that is that if you read how Larry Hama writes his comic books, even the Wolverine and older ones, but especially GI Joe, he says he doesn't even know what the next panel is going to bring. He just goes in there and lets his creativity flow, his juices just go, and he doesn't know what the next story is going to be or the next book. So it's kind of funny because when I read that, I was like, that's kind of like me. Like when I do the videos, I don't know what's going to be next. I just go and do it. And when I was a kid, I used to actually do comic books. Like I would draw GI Joe books, and I have the characters do my own things. And I think I drew like 30 books or something when I was like 12.
Wow.
But yeah.
So with your YouTube channel, then is it content you put out because it's what you like and what you want to put out, or is it, do you sit and think, what will my viewers like? Am I doing it for myself because it's what I like, or am I doing it because it's what my viewers like? How is your approach to it?
I think it's what I like because maybe I want to convey what I do like about GI Joe, and not necessarily what's popular, because I've always been a guy who goes against popularity. I'm sort of weird that way. Like I sort of enjoy that
at all.
Yeah, I enjoy being different, and I'm not like, if I see like 50 reviews on the latest whatever, even if I have that thing, I'm not going to do it because there's already been 50 recent reviews, and I don't think people are going to care by the time they watch mine, right? So
listen, uniqueness is the key. You know, everybody's different. Everybody has their own way of doing things in life, and everybody has their own way of doing things on YouTube. So long may that continue, Dave. I think you're doing a fantastic job, mate. Definitely. And there's nothing wrong with being different at all. That's awesome stuff. Awesome. Have you talking a bit like influences, have you seen a channel called GI Joeberg? You must have heard of them.
Yeah, I'm on their Patreon. I think I've known them for a couple of years now, and I know that a lot of the guys that we have in our group, watch them and talk to them, and I just really think that Paul and Steve and Rob are three pretty cool guys, and I know they had that famous one where they put the USS flag out down where they live in South Africa there a few years back, and they made it float, and everybody watched that one, and then so I think ever since that, everybody kind of knew who they were, and it kind of put them on the map. But they're a really big channel. Yeah, and they're just funny guys. Like I like them because they're just kind of loosey goosey. Like they're not out to make a buck, and they're not out to impress anybody. They just say their opinion and they laugh about it, and they make fun of their friend Rob, and it's just a good vibe, right? Like,
oh, definitely. I mean, I started watching them when we was in lockdown, and I've said to other people on the channel, they just blew me away. It really did. I sat there open mouthed and I was like, what am I watching? Because I've never seen anything like it. You had grown men and they were going flying around with it just reminded me of what it was like when we were kids, you know,
Yeah.
8, 9, and 10. We were doing that sort of thing that age. And I'm thinking, these are grown men doing it. And then the more I watched it, I had to watch another one. Then I had to watch another one because I wanted to see how it played out. And then by the end of watching them, I was like, this is fantastic. Absolute fantastic. And I take my hat off to those guys because they obviously do not give a shit what people think about them, which is great. I love that attitude. And seeing it's just refreshing because for me, when I watched it, it brought back so many memories of my childhood. And they've just done that in the space of like 40, 50 minutes worth of watching their channel. And yeah, I'm big fans. I'm not on their Patreon, so I can't be that big a fan, but I'm on their YouTube. But yeah, I think they do a great job. I really do. And I think if I had the balls, I would definitely love to go and do that sort of thing for sure. Has that ever crossed your mind doing that, or is that something that is not not your forte?
Well, me and Shane, we actually still have GI Joe battles, probably once a month. And what we've done now, though, to sort of guard against any breakages, is we use a dice.
Okay.
And it's like more like a Dungeons and Dragons game where the two guys will fight, and you roll the dice, and whoever has the higher number wins. And then that way you're not like smashing them into each other and stuff.
God, yeah, God, I remember that. Again, said it before. Toys back in the 80s were meant to be played with, and that's what we did as kids. We played with them. They got banged. They got damaged. I mean, I couldn't imagine me now getting two his tanks and banging them together like that. I'd be like, what am I doing? You know. But yeah, I couldn't imagine doing that now. But yeah, the toys were meant to be played with back in those days, and lots of fun times had with doing that. Right, coming up to the last couple of questions. So, what gives you that toy collecting buzz, Dave?
I think just that just means so much to me. The actual idea of GI Joe. So it hasn't gone away since I was a kid, and it's not like it's just a toy. It means so much more to me. So I just get excited when I see a new product. Even like I know I'm more like an 80s guy. Like I collect all the 80s stuff, and there's tons of holes in my collection to fill that way. So that's always top priority. But even when there's new stuff on the shelves and I have a look at it, and it just excites me, and it gives me a buzz for sure because I know that the old company that made them back in '82, they're still doing it, and they're doing a good job, in my opinion. And I kind of don't like it when I hear some people they slam that, because I think that the guys are doing a great job, and people have to remember too that these guys are a lot younger than us. Like they didn't, a lot of these guys didn't grow up with it like we did as kids, so they're taking something and they might change it a bit, or they might have their take on it, which is going to happen because they're not the same age as us. So these designers, like even that Lenny guy, I like him a lot. He's from more like the '87 movie time and on. He didn't really grow up with it that much because he was too young before that. So when he looks at a stalker, like an '82 stalker, he won't have the same vibe as when I pick up an '82 stalker, because to me that was Christmas 1982, and that's my guy, right? So
yeah, for sure.
Yeah, but anyway, I got off topic there, like I always do. But...
No. That's not a problem, not an issue. With collecting, do you get the 25th anniversary figures? Did you get those? Because I missed out on those because I didn't even realize they were doing them. So
I sold all my Joe stuff back in 2002, like all my 80s stuff. After I'd reacquired it, I gave my stuff away back in my early 20s, like I mentioned earlier. But then I decided to recollect like around 2000. And in that time period, I went a little hog wild, and I bought a lot of stuff, and I had a lot. And because it was still relatively cheap then, you could get like any figure you wanted, at least up here in Canada, for probably $5 to $10, right? So you could buy like 300 figures, 80s figures at that time for maybe only $400 or something, right? Whereas now you
Wow.
might pay $400 for one of those guys if he's rare. But
Yeah, damn
but
right.
anyway,
Jesus
yeah.
Christ,
So
it's expensive.
yeah. So back to your question, I I I I started getting his stuff again, and then I had to sell it to get a plane ticket to meet my wife because I didn't have enough money to fly over there when I originally
Wow.
met her. And then of course now I'm old. I forgot your question. Can you repeat it? I feel like it's
What, did you get any of the oh bloody hell, what they're called, 25th anniversary figures?
oh sorry, yeah. Yeah, so because I had no GI Joe stuff.
Yeah.
Um, I I saw them in the store with Shane, and he was like, "What's that?" And I'm like, "I know what that is." So I bought him one. I bought him like a Cobra Commander and a Snake Eyes, and the art was similar to the Hector Greedo art. Everybody knows it's not
That's
the
it.
same, but it's similar. It's
Yeah.
similar.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got some of those, and then of course I had to get him the video game because Shane liked the video games like all the other kids now. So he got the Rise of Cobra video game, and then he was playing that, and he liked that. So then that way, that's what got us onto the 25th, and we probably ended up buying about 30 of them and using those for battles when he was a little kid.
Hmm.
So I do have some. They're downstairs. I think they're on a shelf behind my computer up there. There's about 30 of them. So yeah, I have some
Oh
of
wow,
those.
wow, we've quite a few then. Yeah. It's just GI Joe you're collecting now. You don't collect any other lines now. Is it just predominantly GI Joe? Yeah.
Yeah, just GI Joe. I found not that I found yeah, I think it's better for me now because then I can focus on one thing, and it's the one thing
Hmm.
that I really liked. So
It. To be honest with you, I wish I was like you and could just focus on one thing. But I'm a greedy git, and I've got to see it, and I like it, and I want it. And I mean, it's like the Revelations, He-Man stuff. I mean, everybody likes the Origins and stuff like that because it reminds them of back then, back in the 80s and stuff like that. And I do like those. I've got a few of those. But yeah, I just wish I had one focus. I wish it would have been Star Wars, but then they decided they want to do GI Joe Classified, and anyway, it just um yeah, it's uh,
I know it's easy. It's easy to get into it because
it is, it
there's a lot
is,
of awesome
it
stuff
is,
now. Like it's just so much fun
yeah,
too. You you
it
get
is.
that feeling anytime you hold something, you're like, this is awesome. So I can totally see
Yeah, but
that.
it's finding somewhere to put it, Dave. That's the problem.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the issue. Space isn't my friend. Right. Well, we're coming up to an hour, Dave, and I've got to say this has been really interesting, really fascinating. I've loved talking to you, but I've got one more question for you, and you pretty much touched on it, but I'm going to ask it anyway. What does your collection mean to you?
I think it just means um, it kind of shows who I am. Maybe like it's a part of me that's been there since I was 7. So um, I think it shows maybe the type of person I am, where I like to think of myself as having those values, duty, honor, and courage, and I like to uphold those values and ethics in life. So I think that's what it means to me. It means to me that I should try to uphold those values and ethics and have all the cobras and stuff in my life because those are the bad guys, and you got to know who the bad guys are every day when you go to work or whatever. You got to know who's got your back and who doesn't. So yeah.
Beautifully put, mate. Beautifully put. Well, that is the end of the chat. Like I said, this has gone really quickly. I've loved absolute every minute speaking to you, Dave. This has been so fascinating. And again, hearing another unique story, absolutely brilliant. You're on social media. Where can people find you, Dave?
Um, it's Dave C Straight from the Pit is my YouTube channel, and if you just Google that, it should come up. And on Instagram, I'm I think it's Dave C SFTP, and yeah, I
Awesome.
prefer Instagram because I like the guys on there. I think there's none of this Twitter type stuff, and I just really enjoyed the guys on there, and all like the Joe community in particular has been so cool to me. And I'm in a group
Awesome.
with you, of course, with our own little group, which is a
Yeah.
cool chat. But
Awesome. Well, what I'll do is I will be putting the links to your YouTube channel and your Instagram account on the description below. Dave, once again, mate, really appreciate you taking the time out to chat to us. It's been absolutely fantastic. Unfortunately, it's time to call it a wrap. So once again, thank you very much. Appreciate you taking the time. And thank you guys for watching. And Dave, is there anything else you want to say before we say goodbye?
I just want to say that Stu's channel totally kicks ass, and everybody should start watching it because he's a great guy. And ever since I known him, he's been just a real true guy you can trust, and that's a hard quality now to find in people. So,
well, thank you very much. I didn't realize you were going to say that, but as I'm editing it, I can edit that out. So, right, no, Dave, seriously, once again, thank you very much, mate. Appreciate chatting to you, and yeah, we'll see you guys in the next video. Take care now. Bye bye.